United Nations health officials are warning of a global resurgence of polio if a significant outbreak in the Horn of Africa is not stopped. It's a disease that seemed to be under control but is now appearing with some force in parts of the world. Well, there are three main strains of polio which generally spreads in areas of poor hygiene and sanitation. In the worst cases, one in 200 sufferers are at risk of paralysis and could even face death. Well, the disease is endemic. That means that there's risk, that there's been no break in transmission in three countries, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Nigeria. But cases have recently emerged in Syria and especially in Somalia, where the World Health Organization says that there have been 183 cases so far this year, more than the rest of the world combined. Well, many of those affected by this outbreak are refugee populations, which makes it harder to control. The Dadaab camp in Kenya houses Somali refugees and is now hosting a huge emergency vaccination campaign. From there, our correspondent Rajesh Merchandani filed this report.
Patiently, these little ones wait. Them and millions more across the Horn of Africa. Globally, polio has nearly been eradicated. Could that goal now be unravelling here in one of the poorest places on Earth? In terms of polio, what's happening here in the Horn of Africa is an emergency. Almost as many cases this year as the entire world last year. And these are just a few of 34 million people that the UN says it's trying to vaccinate by the end of the year. And so, when it's their turn, each child, because children are most at risk, gets 2 drops of oral vaccine and, for extra protection, an injection too. With predictable results. We met Abdi Salan, who's had all of his 15 children vaccinated.
The risk is massive because the kids might be crippled and might not be able to work for themselves, and they will be bedridden.
But for some, like Awel, it's already too late. This gifted football player has also had to give up his education as he can no longer walk to class.
Because of this sickness, I didn't proceed to school or been learning because it's very hard for me to learn.
It's fighting and famine in this region that drive the outbreak. In neighbouring Somalia, where it began, conflict against al-Shabaab militants has stopped vaccination teams reaching many areas. Thousands have fled. And so in the Horn of Africa, people weakened and uprooted create a hotspot for polio. The UN fears a global threat.
If we don't stop it here now, it will spread to our neighbouring countries, such as South Sudan, Uganda, Tanzania, and beyond our borders. And so that's why it was very important to have a rapid, aggressive campaigns to arrest it right here.
So now, in the Horn of Africa, an urgent reminder to get vaccinated. Turnout rates have been high, but it's too early to say if this outbreak has been stopped and what it means for the global fight against polio. Rajesh Merchandani, BBC News, in the Dadaab refugee camp in Kenya.